Hello, Lorenzo here. Welcome to KSP Next, episode 26. It's been a while. I think it's more than a month since the last one. Well, sometimes that happens. Anyway, we carry on. We're going to send probes to the Giants, basically the same as in last episode. Many of these have happened and they have overlapping launch times and stuff. I have edited the video per destination to keep the confusion to a minimum. But that does mean that the timelines might jump through each other a little bit. But you can deal with that, I'm sure. Here we have the previously launched Jupiter probe that has arrived at Jupiter. Hooray, hooray. It's sending science home, as we always do. We'll use that to bootstrap our space program ever further. Now, what we want and need for the terms of our contract is a close flyby of Jupiter. And fortunately, we have done just that. The electric charge on the probe has run out, and the solar panels are insufficient, so we can't do anything with the probe anymore. Fortunately, it has returned science from the Jupiter system. That's what the contract stipulated, and it will in fact crash into Jupiter. So that should be a spectacular thing to watch. Thing is, that will take the better part of 2 months before that happens, because Jupiter system is large. So we're going to switch to another vehicle. We will switch to the Mars Explorer. That was the repurposed solar diver. That was the repurposed Saturn probe. You may recall from a previous episode, and if not, go watch this rocket that basically had some accidents during ascent and insertion, and was repurposed twice, and is now on its way to Mars. Fortunately, there was enough delta V in the tanks to do it. It won't have enough to do a extended Mars mission with moon visits, but it's on a course for Mars. And here we have it, the red planet coming ever closer. There we have our spacecraft. It was just a mote against the black background before. Now, the propulsion of it takes a very long time to burn off the hydrazine fuel. It's basically the 1 kilonewton thrusters. They're not efficient, but they're versatile. They're very small and light. They don't require ullage. They just light, and they push the spacecraft until the fuel runs out. So these burns take 10-15 minutes easily. So we've started burning way early and just gathering some science and seeing what the red planet looks like up close. And at that point, we basically achieved the objective. Lost my words there. We basically achieved the objective. Hooray! More science. We're really getting a lot of science this mission. And well, as we keep on keeping on burning, it's a good moment to mention that my favorite company in the world, SpaceX, is back to launching rockets. It's been that long since the last episode. Actually, they've already launched 2 after their failure last September. Things are looking better for them, although they have a bit of a schedule squeeze, and some of the customers are actually leaving, which I can imagine if you're waiting for like 4 years to have your stuff launched. Anyway, I hope they can figure that out. What we can't figure out is how to salvage this probe, because apparently, even though they're lightweight and cheap, these thrusters are liable to fail. So one of them has had a partial failure with reduced efficiency, which is causing the probe to spin. So what I did is I deactivated 2 of them to keep symmetry and continued on the remaining pair of 2 nozzles. By the way, it's really great to be doing space operations around the red planet. It is pretty in the mods I have, and I can't wait to set down some Kerbals on it. Problem though, another engine failure. Turns out these small thrusters have maximum burn times as well, which I did not take into account. So that's an issue here. Without a symmetrical thruster, we abandon that probe. There's nothing it can do for us. It will shoot off into space, be another failed Mars mission. Fortunately, we have another one, the Mars NX-1. It is the same probe, and as this launch actually did occur before the failure, but after the launch of that thing. It's the same probe, but with the knowledge gained, we can jettison about half the hydrazine to reduce the burn time. By the way, we have the ascent here, which is accelerated pretty much, as you can see. Otherwise, it'd take a whole episode by itself. We have ascent and Martian insertion. If you're so inclined, you can, of course, pause the video and look at the readouts. Let me know what you think about this accelerated ascent rather than just having me skip over it. For me, it's the same effort to do either Curious what you think. Anyway, here we have the second mission, the NX-1, also establishing the trajectory to Mars. And because this rocket was designed for Mars and didn't suffer any launch anomalies, we will actually have quite a lot of delta V left over to play around in the Mars system. So what we're going to attempt is for the first time, any Mars mission, although we've been planning it for a few times already, we're going to attempt to stay in the Martian system, visit the two moons, Phobos and Deimos, and act as a relay craft for any future missions, possibly including landers. So that's certainly exciting. Here we have the spacecraft in the Martian system. You can see the upper stage is still attached, as well, as I said, we have a lot more delta V to play with. This upper stage, of course, using the hypergolic fuels that are storable and the engines that are offering several restarts. Here we have me establishing a maneuver node to encounter the moon that's farthest out. I think that's Phobos, but I don't actually know for sure right now. It's been a while since I recorded this. Oh, there goes my solar system knowledge. As we perform this burn, we hope to get close to this moon. They're barely moons. They're moons because they're orbiting a planet. But they are the tiniest space rocks you can imagine. I think they're not even a kilometer across, or at most a few. That means that their sphere of influence, because they have such a tiny gravitational footprint, their sphere of influence is really small. It's like 50 kilometers across, which, even though the delta V requirements aren't crazy, makes it really hard to establish a actual intercept. Because if you're, say, 400 or 500 kilometers away, which is a really good altitude for a flyby, you're not actually doing a flyby. So we have to do a really close pass, like we're doing here. We achieved the objective and we got science from Deimos. Yeah. So the furthest out moon is Deimos. We can recall that. We start from the alphabet out in D and then P. Deimos and then Phobos. So here from that Deimos altitude, we shall endeavor to rendezvous with Phobos. Look at that. We have the disk of Mars and the atmosphere is being lit by the sun. Again, courtesy of some very nice mods. And we have ditched the upper stage and are now on our hydrazine thrusters. Here we have the map view, and the map view, the rock is so tiny you can even just see it in the map view. We have a encounter, but our relative speed is pretty high, so it's only going to last for literally seconds. Fortunately, that's long enough to radio the science home, and we achieve another objective. Now, what's happening is me trying to alter the mission plan, which you should never do, by trying to actually land on this rock. The delta V is there. I thought, if we're going to have a relay station, might as well have it on a rock, you know? The delta V is there to put the probe on the rock, which would give even more science. However, because of the small sphere of influence, as I said, the delta V may be there, but the burn time isn't. And with engines blazing or glowing, we lose track of Phobos. So no Phobos landing today. But fortunately, we do have Martian orbit. That objective is achieved as well. And although the hydrazine fuel is about empty, we have a relay station in the Martian system now. So for the third destination of this episode, we're going to go to Saturn again. The New Ground 2 is basically the same probe as we just sent to Mars on the same rocket as well, except with more radioisotope thermal generators and more a bigger antenna. So here we have the rocket powering through the upper atmosphere, and I just wanted to take a moment to look at that plume and say thank you F1 engines, thank you kerosene, oxygen, chemistry, for allowing us to explore the solar system. That is great. Look at you being an incandescent glow. Amazing. Yeah, I don't know why I said that. Anyway, we're stitching the stages here. That's always a little bit tricky because they don't separate out to the side so far. But there we go. Ah, this is the view I wanted to show you. This just looks like a rocket, really. Views like these are what make me go, yes, we're living in the future. Maybe not compared to like 30 years ago, but definitely compared to a couple hundred years ago. Guys, think about this. The world is amazing. Anyway, in this virtual simulated world, this rocket is almost in orbit. The first stage is about to drop away, as it has many times before, and we will light our J2 Hydrolox engines. The nice blue, clean burning flame of hydrogen reacting with oxygen, producing water, energy, thrust, and light. Yeah, basically energy would have covered everything. And water. Energy and water. Energetic water. New age, radiated energy water. Could probably sell that. This water was made from hydrogen and oxygen in a reaction with fire. Our reaction with fire is failing. We have a failing reaction with fire. I think that could be a Trump tweet. Fortunately, the gimbal on the remaining engine is going to compensate for that. But as the stage empties and becomes lighter and has a shifting center of gravity, center of mass, any small input may perturb that. As we can see, we have to alter the angle of attack because our thrust is so much lower, and the steering is really dodgy because, as you can see on the lower left, the control inputs are like almost maxed out to keep this thing out of a spin. And as I toggle the SAS input, everything goes pear-shaped. 1 split second of uncorrected gimbaling leads to a completely unrecoverable spin for this upper stage. Now, because our rockets are big, efficient, and awesome, we still have lots of kilometers per second of delta V even without the upper stage. And we are in space, and we're at a good fraction of orbital velocity. So the second Saturn mission to be repurposed, trying to recover the upper stage, but it's not happening. Fortunately, the third stage, which actually is the upper stage, the other one was the second one. Terminology is a bitch. Anyway, this one is still perfectly fine. So we are going to light the engines, try not to fall into the ocean, and at least establish more orbital hardware, because hardware in orbit is a lot more valuable than hardware in the ocean. I think submarine captains would disagree. I don't know what's up. I'm saying the weirdest things. I hope you guys find this funny. Otherwise, I'll shut up. I'll shut up in a minute anyway, but first we have this probe, spending a lot of its fuel pointing upwards to recover the problems. Lots of problems this mission had. But we do have a large dish and some radioactive materials in orbit. We can choose to do something with that later. I don't know what that's going to be for now. Might be nothing, might be just space ornaments. But we'll see that in the next episode. It will be a while again because I'm going on holiday before. But as you know, you can subscribe, click there, you will be notified when more happens, and more will definitely happen. Thanks for watching anyway. See you later. Good night. Sleep well.